Welcome to The Point, the education podcast from the Port of Long Beach. I'm your host, Alejandra Guitron, the Port's Manager of Workforce Development.
And I'm Jeff Forney, the Port's Public Engagement Officer. The Point is your update on the Port's education initiatives like scholarships, pathways, and internships.
And this is our debut episode, so we wanted to take a little bit of time to introduce ourselves. As I mentioned, my name is Alejandra Guitron, Manager of Workforce Development. And for 20 years, I've been working in workforce development, and for the last 10, leading the Port's education and workforce development programs, including the high school programs that we will be talking about in more detail.
And I've been working in the city since 1998 when I first opened the Aquarium of the Pacific, then moved over for the next 22 years, selling this destination at the Convention and Visitor Bureau to tourists and conventions, making sure Long Beach was the choice for their next stay on their vacation or trip. And now I get to lead a team here that oversees all of the community engagement as well as the K-8 programs. But enough about us. We want to get to our interview with the principal of Long Beach Polytechnic High School, Dr. Alejandro Vega, and NOVA Pathway student Allison Ramirez.
They joined us to talk about the new NOVA program, a new partnership between Long Beach Polytechnic High School and the Port of Long Beach, which will give students an intro to the world of alternative energy. Thank you for joining us here today. We are with the principal of Long Beach Polytechnic High School, Dr. Alejandro Vega. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about what NOVA stands for? You know, our listeners don't know, the community probably doesn't know since it's so new. Can you share kind of what it stands for and also what's inspired it to have it here?
It is Next Gen Opportunities in Vehicles and Alternative Energy. And so what inspired us to have it is we wanted to cater more to what our students want and need. When we got the opportunity to partner with the Port of Long Beach, we took the offer saying we can create something, we can have something for our students to take on opportunities that are sort of new and innovative. So it was a way to get our students to access one of our biggest industries in the region.
And before we dive a little bit deeper into the NOVA pathway, I also think that we need to take a moment to recognize Poly High School. It's currently celebrating a big anniversary. So if you can tell us a little bit about Poly, its history, and how important it is for the community.
We are one of the oldest high schools actually in California, but we're celebrating 130 years. But it is absolutely sort of the gem of the city. There's a lot of pride here. This is my second year as principal at Poly, and I absolutely love the community of parents, students. What diversity and what pride. Like that is the thing that I always feel every single day from the very beginning, just so much pride, no matter where our students come from. And then we have generations of alumni here. So we have literally great-grandparents to grandparents to parents to now children coming to Poly High School.
And you can feel the energy walking through the halls, the green and gold running through people's veins. So we're excited to be here on campus and dive a little bit deeper into the NOVA pathway.
Absolutely.
So, Jeff.
Thanks. You know, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand what CT pathways are and how they differ in what a normal high school would be. So can you shed a little light on what the difference is between the two and what are the benefits of doing a pathway?
Yeah, well, you know, high school, I've been in education 25 years, and high schools, if we know anything about just the history of education, were very traditional settings meant to produce workers for, in many areas, for low wage or for factory jobs. Like that's the history of education. They were designed that way. So over time, high schools especially have now been places that really cater to our students, all of our students, but especially a lot of our students of color. And so that's where we came up with this new innovative way to engage students through something called Pathways that then transformed into what we have now, which is CTE pathways. So from small learning communities to CTE pathways. So it's a way to get students to see that their learning actually connects to the real world. So instead of learning history discretely by itself, English by itself, math by itself, it's a way to put all of these disciplines together so that students can see that there is a connection between the different disciplines and that their learning applies to the real world, that they are problem solvers, that their innovative, genius minds can actually be put to work even as young adults, that they don't have to wait to be adults to get out into the real world, and they'd actually get it done now. And so CTE takes on some of these industries, brings them in as partners so that they can then give our students that innovative experience to then produce, problem solve, and think about like how can they then now and moving forward make a difference in their world, in whatever industry that is. So again, it is partnering the academics with the real world industry, putting them together and putting our students at the center of solving problems.
And the Port is really proud to partner with Long Beach Unified School District on these high school pathways, NOVA being the third pathway that we're partnering on. And career technical education is important. The Port assists in bringing in real world information into the classroom. And so, as we talk about the CT sequence that NOVA currently has, I'd love for you to tell me a little bit more about the ninth grade, right, being the intro, but as students go into their 11th grade year and they focus a little bit more on their concentrator and their capstone, what two paths can students take in this particular pathway?
All of our students who come into the pathway begin with sustainable energy. The idea that in our world, and a lot of them already come with that drive that they know that we need to do something different in our world, that climate change is real, that we have to do something or we're going to have some very negative outcomes like we're seeing now. So they come in with that, and so they begin with an introductory course just on what that is and what are sustainable ways to sort of change that around. Because we currently have auto classes that are more traditional. And so one of the great things that this is going to allow us to do is our students are going to be able to break off into two different routes. So one of them will be for students who are still interested in cars, not necessarily being mechanics, but actually being innovators of ways to produce sustainable energy within automobiles. So there'll be that aspect. And then there'll be another aspect where students are interested in the idea of smart cities. What is that going to be like? How does a smart city work? How do they innovate in a way that we are more sustainable in that area? So there'll be students who are more interested in at that aspect. So those will be sort of the two different routes that students will be able to take after they take their ninth grade introductory course.
Partnerships are so important in the community, and to make sure that you're successful here. Can you go into a little bit about how the partnerships really help not only the school, but the students be successful, similar to the Port partnering with you and others, and share a little bit more about that?
First of all, we would not be able to do it without the partnership. Education has changed so much. Even 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you'd come in, you learn certain facts, certain content, and then you were set for whatever jobs were out there. Jobs are changing all the time. And so as educators, we are sometimes behind the ball because we've been out of the industry. We have certain skill sets as teachers, very important ones because we have to guide our students. But we do need the experts coming in and showing our students some of the skills that are needed to be innovative, what it's like to work in industry, what it's like to work with other peers in problem solving, because that is needed out in the real world. So aside from that, it's just the content is needed from these partners, because again, we don't have necessarily many experts within our teaching staffs at high schools to be able to give our students those real experiences.
Yeah, and for that reason, the Port is so proud to partner. Not only do we have some of our staff part of the advisory board, but we also work very closely with industry partners to support the schools as well. We get a lot of great feedback. People want to give back to the community, and so we're really happy to be here. And in talking about the next year, we have just our freshman class this year, almost 200 students that selected to be part of NOVA. I think that's the largest incoming class for one of our pathways that we've partnered with. So we're really proud about this. But what would you say to students that are looking at the NOVA pathway? Why should they join?
Well, first of all, it is a pathway for students who might be interested in STEM, but also it is a pathway because of the partnership with the Port of Long Beach that is allowing our students to get experiences outside of the classroom. So really with that partnership and with all of the partners, they're getting access to people in the field. It is impossible to get that, and most schools cannot provide that. But because of this partnership, they're now able to meet industry partners, experts on the field, people who are actually doing the current work. So I would probably say that for our students, and there's again many of them, I've been at different schools, they're students, which is a great thing. They're very worried about climate change. That is one of the big worries of our young generations as they come through. And so this is a very concrete way to put some of their social justice, some of the environmental justice to use
And the Port of Long Beach is actually celebrating their 20th anniversary of their Greenport policy. And what better way than to partner with Long Beach Polytechnic High School and launching a pathway that really supports the next generation of technology as our port transitions to zero emission equipment, as we transition to a zero emission port. Recently, the Port of Long Beach hosted close to 300 high school students, and they were young ladies to just introduce them to the world of goods movement and maritime. We know that historically, the industry has been male dominated, and we want to ensure that young ladies know that there is a place for them at the table. We want to make sure that you bring your ideas to the table and help change the future of our industry. So Dr. Vega, could you tell us a little bit about your recruitment here for young ladies? And is there a place for young ladies here in the pathway? And then also, if there's anything else that you'd like to add, that you'd like to share with the community, we'd love to hear it.
There are things that research and experience tell us are necessary to make changes. And we know that some colleges have made some innovative changes to the way they do education, how the students learn, that have both attracted and sustained females in colleges. And we're thinking about it using some of the same approaches here at the high school level. It reminds me of really why students would want to come to NOVA is we have some amazing faculty. One of our leaders of the pathway is female. Several of our teachers are female. So that is definitely at the heart of it.
And there's also a pipeline that I see here. Not only, are we offering courses here, but we're doing dual enrollment as well. That's going to be offered through the pathway. There's a partnership that we can continue with LBCC. These students can continue their education and be able to expand on that. So do you want to touch on that for us?
We continue with the long tradition in Long Beach Unified of partnering with our local institutions, LBCC, Cal State Long Beach, so that students, again, don't feel like they come through Poly and then they're on their own. We want them to make sure that they have plans within the 4 years here, and then they have post-secondary plans.
As we're meeting with students, a lot of your team and my team really dedicate time to attend mentoring sessions for students. So can you tell us a little bit about how the port supports and why it's important to do so?
Sure. So one of the things we do as an organization is we make sure that we're in contact with the schools, and we offer support in bringing out staff to speak to classes, but also to mentor students, to be on advisory committees as well. We're also out in the community doing the same thing at events and working with our nonprofits and our other community groups. And then one of the things we're doing now is we're starting off early with the elementary, the K through 8, building a foundation of knowledge about what opportunities are available to students as they move through the educational process, leading to their pathways and school of choices when they're in 8th grade to choose one of the pathways, specifically like this one here at Poly. We're also out in the community working with our nonprofits at community events, working with community groups, educating them on all the processes and opportunities that are available to the students that live here in the city, not just in our school district. They might be privately schooled or homeschooled, but just letting them know that there are opportunities available to them as they grow through their educational process. And of course, we love to bring out our staff, mentor students, come into classrooms and speak about our experiences and all the opportunities that are out there, as well as promoting the pathways that we have here. And speaking of students, we actually have one here today, and we have Allison here, new student here at the Pathways in Nova. Allison, you want to say hello and tell us a little bit about what motivated you to join the pathway, and how's it been so far for you?
Honestly, it has been great. I like the program a lot, and something that really motivated me was my uncle, because he builds landscapes in Mexico, and I was like, this is really cool, and this is what I want to do as well, being like him in more successful way, so that could lead me to a good future for me and my family.
For students that are interested in joining the NOVA pathway or any of the port's pathways, we recommend that you visit LBUSD's website to get a little more information on School of Choice. Dr. Vega, can you tell us a little bit about what School of Choice is?
Yeah, so our district has a School of Choice process where any student who lives in our city can attend any pathway depending on availability and selection and etc. But we go through a process where students can even go and visit the school during something called Site Night. For Poly, I'm going to put a plug in for Poly. Ours is December 4th. It's in the evening. It's from 5 to 8 p.m. It is sort of like an open house, and students can come and learn more about all of our pathways, especially NOVA, but also all of our extracurricular activities that we have, sports. So it's a night to just learn more about our community. And then in December, there is a final deadline for students to apply, and then they'll find out what pathway they are placed in at the end of January.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both for your time. Jeff, as always, it's been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thanks again to Principal Vega. And if you want to learn more about the NOVA program, go to poly.lbschools.net.
And now to some very important dates and deadlines. High school choice site visits are happening now throughout the entire district.
The application window for School of Choice closes Friday, December 12th. For more information, including a full list of campus visits, go to lbschools.net/engage.
And now for some port facts. Did you know that every year the port handles $300 billion worth of cargo?
All that money supports a lot of business, which means a lot of jobs.
But getting those jobs starts with getting an education, and the port wants to help you do it.
So go to polb.com/education to learn more. And stay tuned for the next episode of The Point.